Hello, my name is Brendan. I'm the owner of Open Owl Studios, and today I would like to show you PerchDeck. So, Open Owl Studios, we are a board game creator and publishing company, and we have been using so many different pieces of software over the years to, really create and fulfill our projects. Whether that's Asana for task management, or FreshDesk, or Google Sheets, or you name it, we are using it. And this has kind of just been driving me a little bit crazy over the last number of years. And so we decided to take all these different platforms and put them together and create a new piece of software, and we're calling it PerchDeck. And so today I would like to show you what it is. There's a lot here, and a lot of it is really good. You can use the timestamps to jump around if you're interested only in certain of the modules. You can just go to PerchDeck.com, join the waitlist if you are interested in trying it out. Otherwise, let me take you for a spin. So this here, I'll just give you an overview of what we have available in PerchDeck right now before we actually jump into the software. This is just our landing page on PerchDeck.com, so it just gives you kind of a really brief overview of what it is, and then we'll actually jump into the software itself. All right, and here are the modules that are included in PerchDeck right now. Note that all modules are included for everyone with all tier. I hate when these softwares kind of limit features. I think a software like this is best used when you can use all of it. The neat thing is that your data is unified across the modules, and so they're able to talk to one another. And each of these are kind of fully robust, right? So we have projects and tasks, and this kind of in our world is replacing Asana or Monday.com. We have a crowdfunding module, marketing, ability to kind of generate landing pages, A/B test, do links and ads. This is a little bit of an unbound replacement. We have a CRM, which this in itself is crazy, a development module, manufacturing, ability to quote, get estimates, localization tracker, logistics, inventory, sales and invoicing. Sales and invoicing has a lot of automations for invoicing, for doing leads, for doing order forms. You don't have to do stuff in Google Sheets anymore, which is incredible. And we have a customer service module as well, which for us has fully replaced FreshDesk. And if you're still doing customer service out of Gmail accounts, something like this is a massive upgrade. So we have these modules now. More are being added all the time, and especially as we onboard new people into PerchDeck, we'll kind of customize and we'll build in directions that people want. I've created a fake tabletop publisher called Hearth Hollow Games. And I'm going to start here in the projects feature because I think this is a great way to kind of start and kind of get accustomed to it. Like I mentioned, there's a lot here, and it might seem overwhelming at first, but what's really going on is this is our whole company, right? I could switch to the Open Owl Studios, but this is the entire company. Every person can use this platform to do their job and to do it well. And for the ones that we haven't yet, in different areas, we're continuing to build as the days go on. So I'm going to actually start, instead of going into an existing project, we can kind of see we have 6 projects. Meadow Folk is one of our kind of favorited project, or our kind of highlighted project. I could click this to favorite it, just so that it's an easy access if I'm working on Meadow Folk a lot. But I'm not going to. I'll kind of unclick that, and so here we are. Let's go ahead and add a project. I'm going to add a Mythwind project because Mythwind's a game that we're working on. It is our internal code, Mythwind P3. So every company might have a different code for this. Different what platform are you running it on? GameFound, Kickstarter, BackerKit, retail only. We're gonna do a Kickstarter, and then I'm gonna do a cozy and cozy co-op adventure game. Sure, why not? All right, we can go ahead and look at our timeline. Is this a crowdfunding project? Yes or no? Yes, it is a crowdfunding project. What stage are we in? We're in development. Crowdfunding launch, if you kind of know what your launch date is or an estimate, we'll put October 13th. You can choose a development template that you have already created, and we'll look at that in a moment, but I'm going to say this is an expansion. And if you have the URL, you can already paste the URL, but I don't, so I'll go next. Now you can choose what modules you'll have attached to this project. So we have our development module, tasks, pre-launch, manufacturing, localization, fulfillment, marketing. I'm going to leave all of these selected. You can turn them off, but I'm going to leave them all selected. And then I'm going to go ahead and create this project. Okay, so here we are. We're in the overview of our Mythwind project. You can kind of see nothing's happened. We have development. We have, an area to leave notes. I can kind of take teammates. You can just leave a note. Hey, this is a project, and other people can kind of see this. This is just kind of your landing page for the project itself. I can go ahead and I can actually go into the tasks feature, and this here is our task board. You can have multiple of these. I can rename this task board, but you know what? I'm going to actually add I'm going to add an art board, and I want to also add a game design board, and then we will do a marketing board. Okay, great. So we have task board. I don't need this. I'm going to delete task board because that was just our first one. I could have renamed it, I guess. But now we have 3 boards. We have our art, game design, marketing. I can change the members for each of the boards. So, I could add different members to the boards. These are internal or external. I can have a collaborator that's not an actual user on the PerchDeck platform. I can invite them in. If you ever use Monday.com or Asana, this is kind of very familiar. So right now it's just me on the board. These are the different statuses I have. And again, you can update these as you wish. You can rename, you can delete them. And creating a task, what is this? Art. So let's go cover art. It's very, very simple, very straightforward. You can create the task, you can assign it to people. You can have your due dates. You can have priority status, all of these things. And you can attach any images you need. You can do comments. And this is, if you use a task management platform, this is pretty familiar. But I'm going to kind of assign this to myself because that will show me something later. And again, if you need to move it along in your workflow, you can. So this is our task feature, and the neat thing about this is it links. So this is specific to the Mythwind project, right? Project Mythwind. But if I go into tasks over here. This is kind of my task. So these are the tasks that are assigned specifically to me, right? I can see cover art. Okay, great. And I can go right into the task and I can take care of it. But if I wanted to, see, these are the project boards that I'm assigned to, which is great. If I wanted to, I could create a new board that's just like private to my to do. And now I have my to-do list where I'm the only one invited on this. So this is kind of a private board. I can invite people if I wanted, but and everything gets filtered into the one task list. So that's the task feature. Quite powerful. If again, pretty familiar if you've used those other pieces of software. So I'll go back. We're in our Mythwind project. So that's the task feature. You can use this. Anyone can use this. It's good to go. Development. This here is every company is going to have their own development timeline. We recognize that. This is one of our kind of project flows, and I'll kind of show you a little bit how it works. We run based off of a pivot date. Our pivot date kind of anchors all of the dates around this, and we have a few different templates. So big game. I'll apply this big game template, and it's going to schedule off of the pivot date, which is October 13th. And so pivot date October 13th. We should have greenlit the project December 10th, 2024, and moved all the way up through these different stages. And again, you have kind of the different stages of the project. You can complete them as you go. You can adjust your baseline. So the baseline is how long you need to do that. This is whether you're going faster or slower. And it's, for us, it's helpful, and it's how we keep track of our timeline. Again, if you wanted to create a new template, you absolutely can. You can delete any of these. You can add any number of any number of phases, and you can group them in different headers. So we have a development header, a crowdfunding header, and a production header. This is how we keep track in OpenL Studios of our entire project flow. And again, if you wanted to, let's just go, I'm going to make this real simple. So let's go development and then crowdfunding. Okay, so create game, and then we'll go to crowdfund game. We'll add one more phase, which is file to printer. And this is production. All right, and then if I am setting the pivot date around crowdfunding, I need, how long do I need to do this? I'm gonna go 15 weeks, and then files to printer, I'm gonna go 5 weeks, and then we can create this template. Oh, give this template a name, simple game. And then we're gonna apply. And just like that, we have a very straightforward process where everything is just right here. Again, just very simple, but for us, we're using it in quite a big way. So that's the development module. Here we have our products. So there's a couple of things. This product can be attached to our inventory, or sorry, to our products. Overall, but oftentimes when you're making a new project, this is where you're going to add projects. Add products. And so I'm here. I need to add Mythwind, and then I'm going to add our SKU. I'm going to make it, it's $99. It's a big game. I'm going to make this a gameplay add-on. I can do a short description. Add description. I'm going to add this product. Cool. And then let me add one more. We'll do Mythwind Expanded Horizons. I'm trying to remember our SKUs off the top of my head, and I don't think I can. And we'll add this. All right, and now we have our two SKUs, two products attached to the Mythwind project. We have Mythwind, this would be like the core box, and then we have an expansion, Mythwind Expanded Horizons. These are currently draft projects, and they are not yet in our inventory. But what we can do is we could push them to our inventory, and we will look at this in a moment, but pretty much now they will show up in our product catalog here under all of our product catalogs, which is very cool. So we'll go back. There's a few other things you can do. If you already had a product created, you can attach an existing product to this project, and that's helpful because maybe you're fulfilling an older project or an older product with this campaign. And so we have our two SKUs. We can also start a quote process for these two SKUs. We create an order form, or we can add more. So let's go ahead and we can kind of jump into the manufacturing module through the coding process. So I'm just going to actually go to the manufacturing module. We have a few different things here. We have our request for quotes. We have existing quotes that we may have gotten from the factory. These are finished, completed. And then we have cost library. These are things that we have already created that will come from our existing components and will help estimate our cost in the future. So if I go back to the Mythwind project, I can click start an RFQ, and then I'm going to start an RFQ from these two products. And now we have a way to kind of build out our RFQ. You know, if you've ever done this, you probably have done this with Excel or Google Sheets or whatever it is. You can do notes, you can have your different manufacturers, but you can add kind of components here, box name, box, and then type. We're going to do a box. And here, you know, you can specify size, you can do all these stuff, you can attach reference images, and then you can change the presets for the types of quantities that you want the factory to eventually quote from. You can also add components from your library. So if you had already uploaded quotes, they would be pulled out and you would get the exact pricing for those quotes. You can go ahead, you can fill in all of these elements, right? Which is great. And you can do the same thing with any expansion components. Build out your whole quote. And a really neat thing is if you were going from kind of historical stuff and you're kind of adding components that are similar to existing components that you've already quoted from, you could estimate from history and it would estimate the component cost based off of your cost library. Really cool. Last thing, you can export this as an Excel sheet and it's formatted in a very similar way to how OpenOwl sends our quotes to the factory and how we receive them from the factory. So it formats that perfectly. And then you can mark it as sent. And that is the manufacturer module. You can kind of keep track of all of your RFQs and the different statuses, or all of that. So very neat. So we'll go back, we'll jump back into Mythwind. And you know what, I might as well favorite Mythwind because I keep on going to it. So I'm in Mythwind. How's our products? Boom, boom. Now we'll do pre-launch. You can attach this to an existing campaign, or you could create a new campaign, which is, you know, we're assuming that we're doing a crowdfunding campaign here, which is great. You can manage all of your campaigns in the crowdfunding module. But I'm going to, so actually let's just attach to an existing campaign. Just going to link. This is fake data, so it's it's not going to be perfect, but you know, we have our followers, we have kind of whether or not a landing page is live, email list, launch date set, some launch readiness, all kind of the fun stuff that we need for a landing page here. Let's go ahead and, for an overview, let's go ahead and build a landing page for Mythwind. All right, so we're in the landing page module, which is actually now in the marketing module. So we've gone from pre-launch, right? Everything kind of moves along, and now we're into marketing. So let's go ahead and create a new landing page. And landing page, a couple things. One, it will take your information, your images, it will generate a landing page, and then it will be fully editable. So let's just go ahead and Mythwind landing page. For the creative brief, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and copy our description from Board Game Geek. And then for assets, I am going to upload a handful of artwork, and I'm going to actually label one as hero image. That's our box cover. So we're good here. Let's go create and generate. It's going to take a few minutes. It's going to upload all the assets, generate the page, all that stuff. And so while it's going, let's just circle back to our crowdfunding module. So this is our crowdfunding module. It has any active campaigns, all the campaigns that we have run, and we can track based off of, you know, we can choose which ones we're comparing it to, existing campaigns, go funds, backers, percentage of goal. We can also choose to watch a different campaign. So we can add in the tabletop analytics URL and attach any kind of live projects just to see how we compare against any existing projects. If I go in on Meadowfolk, I can see more information. So a couple of interesting things. If your project is being run on GameFound, GameFound has a great API which allows PerchDeck to talk directly to it. So you get a lot of information, a lot of just really well. And Kickstarter doesn't, but we use Tabletop Analytics website to gather our information. So we still get decent information from Kickstarter, but not as good as GameFound. If you want, you can kind of add your stretch goals and your timeline of events into this campaign manager so that you're kind of tracking it as you go. You can kind of see when you hit the various milestones, the different campaigns, all the different things. These are kind of different events that have happened. And so this is the crowdfunding module. All right, let's take a look. Okay, we're 86% in. And so I don't want to kind of reveal the magic of the landing page creation too early, because it is quite cool, quite clever, but it does take a few minutes. And this is just something that, if you've ever built a landing page, you will have been used to the drag and drop functionality. Sometimes you get a good website, sometimes you get one that you wish was better. and this is kind of a solution to that. So, okay, here we go. Landing page has been generated. Let's go ahead and preview it. Build a home in Mythwind Valley. So here's the landing page that it has generated. You can kind of see that it has taken a kind of color palette from our images, kind of a lot of cozy colors, and just a Mythwind, right? Hearth Hall games, a bunch of decent stuff. As far as like a starting space, pretty good. Okay, there's some writing here that I don't like. Maybe I want to change this picture. I didn't use the hero image picture. There's a few things that I kind of maybe wish were different. So let's go ahead and let's edit. A couple ways you can edit this. You can edit based off of a prompt. All right, so let's make the hero image. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead, or you can edit actually off of like the tagline. So I don't like this little icon up there. New game for everyone. This is updating in real time. You can save your changes, preview those changes, good to go. I can go ahead and open this landing page. I can share this link with others. It's great. I can really kind of change whatever I would want. And so you can see kind of the editable content here. And I'm going to go ahead and change my hero image to, it would have been helpful if I edited my image names. So we'll go, is this one the one? Yeah, okay, this is what I want. So that's good. I'm going to save the change and then make the hero image bigger. And we'll let it make the hero image a little bit bigger. That's going to kind of cook as I do that. Maybe I want to edit some of this text. Maybe I want to kind of change the layout. But it's like kind of a first step. This is real good. I'm quite happy with this. So I'm going to let it revise the hero image. It kind of takes a few minutes, so we'll let it do its thing. And as it's doing its thing, I'm going to go into the ads. So this is our ad module inside of marketing. And what is really neat here is we can connect our PerchDeck to our Meta account, and this will push ads directly to your Meta account. So you can do everything here. You actually don't even have to go into the campaign manager. Obviously you can if you want to edit it, but kind of a neat thing, you can edit based off of your landing page. Okay, let's go 4 ads, go daily budget of $100. What is our thing? We want traffic, and then our audience, we have broad, and we just kind of have some basic audiences here. So let's generate these. So again, this is going to use all of your information from your landing page. It's going to use your images from your landing page, fully editable. Yes, it is generating via AI, but it's just as a starting point. the intention is to use it as a starting point and lets you generate it differently. So, this is the name of the ad, primary text, gives you all of your information. You can change your creative image. And again, these are based off of the images that that were a part of your landing page. Let's save the ad. When we're ready, we could just push this push this ad to Meta, and it would start. Well, it would push to Meta, but in order to activate the ad, you have to actually go into your Meta account and click turn on. So let's just go ahead and jump back to PerchDeck. Okay, great. Jump back to our landing page. We can see how the image is a little bit bigger. I like that a lot more, and we're ready to go live. So let's publish this. We have published, and we are now live. And so let's take a look at our landing page. Open it up here. Looks nice. Let's go bob@gmail.com. I'm sorry, Bob. Join the journey. Great. We are going to get the letter. Again, all of this text is fully editable. But if I go back here, if I look at our leads, now we have a lead here. Another thing that we probably should have done when we were setting up the landing page is we should have gone to our landing page and in settings, synced it either to our MailerLite or MailChimp group. I don't have this as an example page, but we can sync it to an exact audience, potentially a crowdfunding campaign, all of the things. So that is our marketing module under projects. So we have landing pages, ads, links, leads. Oh yeah, another element which I didn't talk about is you can create custom tracked links for you can take. Actually, I have the landing page already. Mythwind email link, and then the URL is going to be, let's go Mythwind landing page. Great. Source, let's go newsletter, medium, email, and then campaign Mythwind P1. And then let's go ahead and create this link. So now we have a link that will be able to get tracked specifically for the Mythwind email page. So if you're into the track links, and you can get really deep with this, you can generate all of them here, which is kind of nice. A couple things. Kickstarter has this functionality, so does GameFound. But I don't know. I don't love going into the Kickstarter platform and doing it. And so there's something nice about kind of keeping all of my track links here separate. I can just do it all here. And so I like that. You can do that, or you can kind of, yeah. So that's marketing. We've already talked about crowdfunding, and now let's talk through production. So production looks and operates very similarly to our development timeline. You can create your template. This is kind of a standard template. You can create a pivot date, manufacturing start, or file delivery. We typically, let's go file delivery as our pivot date. And then, everything, let's apply this new template. Great. So everything kind of pivots off of file delivery, and we can be tracking this as we go. You can always click in on the status as well. You can attach documents, you can do any notes, you can tag people, you can do all the things that you need to do for tracking this. And kind of a neat thing, production, we can see the RFQ that has already shown up here. I can go into my RFQ, I can take a look at it. This is the most recent one. If I received a quote from the manufacturer for the RFQ, I could put that here, upload quote. So that's the production module, really easy. Again, you can create your own templates, you can schedule your pivots. Something that is kind of neat. I know for us, we have, for most of our games, we have two different print runs. We have an English and a non-English, and they're working on different dates. And so we like to be able to track them separately. This is all customizable depending on your workflow, but that's something that's good for us. All right, moving on to our localization. Sometimes we localize the game, translate our games. Oftentimes we do that. And so we can add a contract. There's a couple ways we can do this. You can upload a contract. It will read the contract and then put all the information for that partner. But, let's go we got a little bit of an error here, but that's fine. We can kind of change any of the settings as we go, and then let's go ahead and create this one contract. So this is United States edition. Well, Meeple Mountain distribution. We're already doing the United States distribution, but that's fine. We don't we don't need to get into it too much. We can do kind of the different line items here. So we'll add, Mythwind. We'll add that, and this. They are going to order 1,000 units, and they're going to order this at $50 a game, which is probably a little bit high, but that's okay. We'll track it. So now we can kind of see what the final line item is, and we can, as we're doing the invoices, we can upload the invoice, we can track payment status, we can do all of that in the localization module. Finally, in projects, we have fulfillment. We have the various different regions. Again, you can add more, subtract them, whatever it may be. But we have, United States, Canada, United Kingdom. Inside, you can click on the module. You can assign it to a partner, and then you can be tracking the status. You can be adding notes for it. You can do updates, all the stuff that you need in order to kind of track the ongoing status of the project, uploading documents, whether that's commercial invoices, import documents, anything you need to kind of keep locked in here. And again, we circle back to our overview, and you kind of get a good overview of everything and where we're at with this project. So a lot here. And this is just, in some ways, this is just half of the half of what is available in PerchDeck. It's our project module, right? It works well. Again, we're updating, refining it as we go, but even right now, it's doing quite a lot of heavy lifting. So let's move on. We've already talked about crowdfunding. Let's go to the CRM. This is great. First of all, we are working to build direct integration with GameFound, BackerKit, and Kickstarter so that we don't have to do this CSV import. Ideally, we have direct integration, so it just is live updating based off of the orders. But for now, all you have to do is you download your backer data from any of these platforms, and you upload it here, and it will import all of your customers, all of their orders, all of the information into here. Works really well, very slick. You can kind of see some high level of the campaigns that we've run, kind of some analytics about the top countries, kind of our various customers. You can go in, you can look at these customers, you can click, again, these are all fake, don't worry. You can click, okay, Elijah Frost, he's back 2 of our campaigns, customer since June 3rd. He has an email. If he had a second email, we could add him here. We can also merge. This is nice. We can merge Elijah Frost with a different customer. So sometimes, this is actually very important. Sometimes people are emailing with 2 different emails. Maybe you have a Kickstarter email, a GameFound email, whatever it is. You can set them as a primary email, but then you can merge them with other people's or with their other emails so that it kind of lives on the same account. So all of their information is stored there. Again, I can go and I can look at their different orders at the bottom. So this is a GameFound order in Hearth Hollow. They've purchased a few projects. It's good. Payment complete. They'd have their shipping address here. Very neat feature. It's not going to work because this is a fake project. I can click View in GameFound, and this will bring up their GameFound order. So if you're logged into the admin section on GameFound, this automatically brings that up. Very great, very slick. So that's customers. And, we have a few other things. We have kind of different segments that you can update and add, but, you have super fans, repeat customers, high value, lapsed, one and done, business entities, or you can kind of break them out into your campaigns, and you can kind of see how your campaigns are performing and how the cross-sell targeting, a bunch of data for you data nerds if you want to kind of really dive into it. And so that is the CRM function. I'm going to jump to customer service because the CRM is tied to the customer service quite a bit. So our customer service, this is For us, it's our PerchDeck replacement. If you're still doing customer service out of Gmail and you're getting overwhelmed, I think this is a great spot. Easy to keep track of things. Again, if you've ever used something like PerchDeck, this will be quite familiar. You have your tickets, and we'll kind of move along these as we go. But so tickets, it defaults to open tickets. Open tickets are ones that have not been responded to. You can see whether a customer has responded. So this is kind of an ongoing conversation, whether something's new, or and if I go to active tickets, active also includes pending and on hold. Pending is if it will automatically trigger if you respond to a customer. But we'll go back to open. And then I will go to here. Tea Garden won't fit. It looks like their message. So okay. Usually you'll see their message here. And again, it didn't feed this because it's a fake account, but you'll see their message and you have a chance to respond, to do internal notes, to forward to a colleague. But here's the really neat thing about this, and where PerchDeck, I think, is a step above other customer service platforms. You see all of the information about your customer here, right? Because remember, you've uploaded all the backer data. You can see their address is already on file, their recent orders, all the things. If you need to get a closer look at the customer, you can go in, grab along. Okay, cool. If you need to go to a specific order, you can see that. You can go into the GameFound order. Maybe you need to do a refund based off of an email. Everything lives in there and it works really well. Also, a great feature is if something is an actionable task for you or someone else, you can create a task and, we'll assign this to Brendan. Due date is today. Get this done. So this will now create a task. We can see the task is here attached to the project, but I will also see it in my task. It's in the customer service module. And I was like, okay, crap, I now have to get this done. And if I need to, I can just click, I can see the ticket, right? It's not gonna, if I clicked, I can see the ticket, it's logged in, it'd be good to go. So really slick. We'll go back to the ticket. A few other things. If you have any canned responses, you can go \C and it will get to your canned responses. Canned responses are exactly that. They're canned responses. So you can write them however you want. And there's things that you might say to a customer a lot. We also have forms. Forms are a little bit like a Google form, but embedded, and you can see the result and everything inside of PerchDeck. You can also link forms to customers as they come in. And, you can do images, you can do emails, you can do just a bunch of different information. So that's under tickets. So we have canned responses, forms, automations. If you can get into the weeds quite a bit on doing different automations, whether it's sending emails, whether it's assigning, whether it's, you can send an email response that is you can do multiple tags. You could assign and then send a form to a customer if someone has hey, I have a damaged part. Cool. Maybe it tags your customer service representative, and then it also sends the link to the form, all without so these are automations. It's quite powerful. And lastly, there's a knowledge base here. And so this is a public form or public kind of FAQ that you can link to people, and it will have information based off of whatever you create here. So a new article, and it just is a public thing that you can share, link on your website. There's a bunch of settings that you can change, your signature, your autoresponder, kind of response targets, satisfaction survey. There's a number of things that you can do in the customer service module, but works out for us. We've been using it internally, and we've been finding kind of great success with this. Okay, so that's CRM, that's customer service. Let's jump into sales. Sales is the other kind of really big feature that, they keep on coming. But this one for us has been quite meaningful and impactful. We have several different groupings of kind of our sales and kind of our B2B business clients, and then these are editable. But this is kind of what we're using for the template here. We have distribution orders, distribution pre-orders, retail pre-orders, and then a few other kind of tabs. But this here is our dashboard. We can see our revenue. We can see kind of our revenue trend, our order pipeline, our accounts receiving by age, revenue by game line. Okay, Hearth Hollow is doing quite well. Recent purchase order, recent activity. So this is a great little dashboard of stuff, and you can change whether you're going by quarter, year to date, trailing, all this stuff. If I go into our distribution pre-orders, I can see at a glance, hey, where are we? We're order received, sent, confirmed, shipped, invoice, paid. I can also flip this to a table view if I want to do a table view. But what happens when you receive an order, and for those of you who are receiving distribution orders, you typically know that they'll send a PDF. So you can go ahead and you can import the PDF, you can drag the PDF, it will extract all the information, assign it to the SKUs that you already have, because those will be in your products, and it will create the order. But you can also just create the order manually, you ship to the location of the partner, order number 1, what are the terms, create the PO. And then you can go ahead and add some items. So we're going to add 100 of those at $19.99. Great. So that's unit price, unit cost, and you can change this based on in the product settings. But this is now an order. So this is all set. You get a bunch of information here, contact information. We have an order log at the bottom. You can change the status up here, or you can do it here. And so how we have it set up now, and again, this is customizable, is that when this order goes into sent, this will do 2 things. 1, we are integrated into our QuickBooks account. So this will create a QuickBooks invoice, and it will send that QuickBooks invoice to, order received. Yeah, it will send the QuickBooks invoice to the customer. And as I'm reading this here, I'm actually realizing that this is a little bit incorrect, because that would be in confirmed creates the invoice, and then shipped. I was getting ahead of myself here, but when we go to invoice, that's when it will send the QuickBooks invoice to the customer, and that works automatically. Everything kind of goes automatically. And then when they pay that, when it's marked as paid in QuickBooks, it moves to here. And for us, and we have different integrations for people who have different workflows. We have Stripe for credit card payments, and QuickBooks for kind of wire transfers. That's how we handle it. And typically for retail orders, they'll be using credit card, and so that'll be Stripe. But the same thing is happening there, where when an order comes in, we confirm it manually because we need to confirm it, and then we typically charge our freight. But again, this can be updated, and then from here we move it into invoice sent, and that will automatically send a Stripe invoice to the client, and when they pay it, it will move to invoice paid, and then it triggers a reminder for us, an email reminder for us in the notification setting, then when we can then ship it. So everything's tracked in here. And the really great thing is, especially for retail orders and pre-orders, is that you can create order forms, and we'll call this Mythwind order form. Mythwind. You can say what game line it's for, what your discount is. This can be changed. Deadline for the order form, currency, payment terms, all the fun stuff. Click order forms, and then you can go ahead and add products to this. So I'm going to add both my Mythwind games, and then I have the retailer price here. And this is kind of, I can choose whether it's pre-order or not, which would send me to a different kind of system for receiving payment. I'll go ahead and I'll save this, and I'll actually make it active. And now that it's active, I have a link, and the link brings me to this order form. I can, if I was a retailer, I can input my information, store name, all the fun stuff. I can choose how much I want to order, click submit order. I would receive an email as a retailer, and then that also gets kicked into the appropriate pipeline, whether that's retail orders, distribution orders, or retail pre-orders, all that stuff. For retail pre-orders, we have a different kind of payment structure, 50% upfront, 50% on delivery. And so this is, it's a different setup, different structure and all that stuff. So that's the order forms. We also have the ability to generate price lists. And these are how we do these. There's a couple different ways, but you can do custom price lists based off of just whatever products, or you can do kind of a live inventory. You can choose kind of the regions and stuff. And so basically this allows people to see how much stock you have and then, purchase any of that as you need. You can kind of let it be, you can show available units or you don't have to show available units. That's kind of up to you, but this is good for distributors, we find. You can also potentially do good for retailers. And then finally, we do have an ability to send quotes and to generate leads if you have a dedicated salesperson. All right, so that's the sales modules. So we've worked through customer service. Products, pretty straightforward. This has kind of all of your products. You can export a CSV template, upload in a big batch, or if you're interested, you can always just add products. And there's a lot of different information that you can add as you're going. You can always update the information inside of here. There's, where there's a lot, there's a lot of information here. We've worked through manufacturing, and then let's just take a brief look at inventory. So inventory shows how much we have on hand, shows kind of our different SKUs, whatever value. And the neat thing is it also kind of shows the locations that we have. So you will have different warehouses around the world. And there's two ways to kind of have inventory in PerchDeck. One is you can import inventory via a CSV file. And so a lot of these warehouses, you can generate CSVs, you can import via CSV, or if you link your inventory from warehouses to Shopify, we can actually connect directly to Shopify. And so that pulls live inventory. And so that's what we've done at OpenOwl, and it's a really slick setup. So our inventory in PerchDeck is always live and accurate. You can generate month-end snapshots. This has kind of your inventory on hand, cost of goods, all that fun stuff that accountants need. And you can kind of see just a live kind of transaction of your inventory. We also have a partners module, kind of like a CRM, but for your kind of partners. There's an application form where you can send this to people and they can input their retailer or distributor or whatever it may be. And that kind of comes in as a pending approval application for you to approve them or not, as a retailer or not. You can always export this. You can sync this into your marketing program, email marketing, all that fun stuff. Lastly, I'll just show you a little bit here in the settings. You can change any, there's a lot of email sending addresses. You can change you can add team members. For PerchDeck, we don't have a user limit, and we don't charge per user. I'm going to get to pricing in a moment. But actually, there's no but. So we don't charge per user. You have as many users as you want. I hate user limits, and our kind of price per user isn't that much different. It's kind of a price per data, and I always feel like the more team members that you have using the same software, the better, because if everyone's sharing information and data, you can tag teams and team members and tasks. That's all good. You can also invite collaborators. These are externals, and you can add them as you see fit. There's a bunch of notification settings that you can change. We have kind of a handful of emails that go out that you can adjust as you need, and integrations. We're always updating our integrations, but QuickBooks, Stripe, Shopify, MailChimp, different stores. There's just a bunch of different integrations that we have available. So that is, as I'm talking, I was like, okay, that's all. It's actually not all. We talked through the project, we talked through the studio. We do have some features, and I know people are, a lot of people are maybe skeptical of AI, and you don't have to kind of use AI here, but I found this kind of really helpful. So we have an AI chat bot that it only kind of answers questions on your live data. And I find that's really helpful to kind of get summaries of things or to find something specific. So I can ask, what kind of outstanding customer service issues do we have? And this is going to query the database that it's in, and it's only going to kind of like look at our information. We're going to see, okay, hey, we have 5 active tickets. And the great thing about this is all of these are linked. So I can click on it and it brings me to the ticket itself, right? And so that's really helpful. The other element is if you only give a user, so, if I go back to our team, I can change our module access. I can give people whatever access to different modules. Their Scout questions, the Scout AI, can only query the modules that they're given access to. So, if you don't want a team member with their sales data or whatever it may be, so you can be like, hey, how many sales have we had this past, had in Q2 of this year? Just questions like this, you can get updates. Oh, okay, well, here we go. I don't have access to date filter sales report in my sales tool. Let me look up individual purchase orders. Okay, so look at that. We can we can expand the features as we go. So that's the Scout feature, and then we also have a home dashboard, which kind of gives you a few things. There's a brief that gets generated each morning, kind of gives you some outstanding stuff, and just a handful of stuff that is happening in your studio. Okay, so that is PerchDeck. We're always adding features. We've got some stuff in development, and depending on how people use